Hello and welcome back. Today I'll be covering the recent changes in the latest Gamma update. If you found this video useful, make sure to give it a like and subscribe for future content. I'll be playing the latest update live on both Twitch and here on YouTube, so come stop past if you have any questions. This update does not require a new save, but it is recommended. Firstly, the new guns, and starting with one of my favourites is the Winchester 1892. This lever action fills the role of being a long-range mutant killing weapon, shooting the damaging 357 round. This gun uses a rifle repair kit and has a very high accuracy and high capacity. The main downsides are the slowish fire rate and the slow reload speed. Next two weapons are the Stayer Scouts. Both of these bolt action snipers come with adjustable scopes and very good accuracy. The difference between the rifles is one is chambered in 5.56 and the other is chambered in 7.62 by 51. Honestly, the 5.56 one is fairly useless as almost any other 5.56 rifle is better, but the 7.62 by 51 sniper can be quite handy. Last new weapon isn't actually a new weapon as it was added in the last patch, it just wasn't able to appear in game. Now, the XM4 is able to be found on NATO Stalkers. This gun is basically your typical M4 with the main point of interest being the interesting selection of sights. A few guns were reanimated this patch. A couple of mods were added this patch. Firstly, the map on PDA has had a high quality makeover, making it a lot easier to make out the smaller details on it, and just making it more pleasant to look at in general. But the map wasn't the only thing that had a HD treatment. Lurkers have also had their textures replaced with much higher quality ones, which is nice as they definitely were looking a bit rough. Another great addition is the reload timings mod. This mod will make it so a gun will fully reload when it visually reloads. This would hopefully mean that you shouldn't accidentally cancel your reloads anymore. The flashlights on some weapons have been removed as they couldn't be used. Unfortunately, due to engine limitations, we cannot have lights on weapons, so hopefully this will stop the tons of questions from people asking how to turn them on. Last new mod is the rework stash quest and map markers. This mod will change the icons on the map to be a lot clearer. Next, a few changes to the progression of the game. One of my favourite changes in this patch is the weapon and armour upgrades no longer requiring toolsets to be applied. This is great as most of the good upgrades on guns, such as making a gun fully automatic or changing the caliber, were locked behind expert tools. But now, all you need is a workbench to apply them. Additionally, mechanics will now sell random upgrade kits after you have given them basic tools. Overall, I love this change as it means I'll actually upgrade my gear now. The only nerf is that you can no longer pay a mechanic for upgrades, but with the just mentioned changes, this isn't too bad. Monolith will no longer spawn in the very first room in the Brain Scorcher, which actually gives you a chance to load into the lab. The Nomad and Wastelander suit can now be found in stashes. These armors' main feature is having 3 and 4 belt slots respectively. As well as their retexture, lurkers will now spawn in bigger groups in northern areas, with a viewer reporting they saw a group of 5 of them at once. Monolith and Sin can now start with the GP10Z gas mask for only 50 points. This helmet has the best radiation resistance in the whole game, which is great to battle the high rads in northern areas. This item is a must pick on any Mono or Sin run. Loners can now start with the OTS-33, which is a great gun for killing mutants. Freedomers can now start with the 40 round Glock with a switch, which can now also be found on NATO Stalkers. This gun is a bullet drain, but boy is it fun to shoot. The attack range of boars has been reduced, which will hopefully prevent times where you jump to avoid them but still get hit despite being meters away. Zombified stalkers will now have loadouts, meaning you can actually find some pretty decent guns on them. Onto some gameplay changes now. All bullets have had a 20% increase to their penetration. This should mean that stalkers are less tanky and on average will take less rounds to kill. On the same note, stalkers wearing balaclavas or basic gas masks will no longer have any head protection. For weapons, all guns will now sway up and down while walking and ADS'd. This looks a lot nicer than the previous rigid movement. Shotguns are getting a buff, as 12 gauge buckshot now does 1.2 more damage per pellet, for a total increase in damage of 10 if all pellets hit. 12 gauge slugs have had their AP increased by 1, but their damage increased by 15. The AK-105 Specialist has been replaced with the AK-12, and the L96, L85A2 Tactical, USP Tactical, and AR-15 Hera has been removed. The AR-15 Hera is basically the same as the Butcher, and the USB Tactical was kinda useless as it was only 9mm, but I don't agree with the L96 and the L85. The L85 had a very minor animation bug while walking, so I hope it's fixed and brought back, but the L96 was apparently removed due to there being an abundance of 7.62x51 bolt actions. But there are only 3 in the game, so this shouldn't be the case. I personally don't see anything wrong with this gun, so I'm not sure why it is removed. Lastly, the SV98 scope was made adjustable by default. A few miscellaneous changes, and starting with a great one. All armor's mutant resistance is increased by 20%. I've always found armor to be a bit ineffective against mutants, so hopefully this will improve that. Weapons will now show their required repair toolkit on the icon, and armors will now show the repair type and faction that armor is from. 338 Federal is slightly harder to craft. Butcher will now sell 556 HP and double the 45 Hydroshock. Mutant pelts have been buffed across the board. Mutants will now have a small chance of hitting your torso or arms instead of only your legs. Artifacts will no longer spawn in Jupiter Underground, and stashes will have more guns in them. Lastly, onto the fixes. One of the worst changes this patch is the ledge grabbing mod no longer randomly killing you. I'm going to miss this mechanic as it really added an element of surprise to this game. Interesting. Well. Oh, Iron Man over chat. Artifacts should no longer have their condition reset randomly. You can no longer drag items to steal them from trader inventories. You can no longer use companions to get infinite ammo. You should no longer take damage from friendly stalkers. The new jumper giants will now drop the correct loot instead of snork loot. And finally, the SVT has been removed from the game. So that was all the changes in the latest patch. Personally, I think this is a great update to the game. I only have 1 or 2 minor issues. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a like and subscribe for future content. Again, come stop past the livestream on Twitch or YouTube if you have any questions. Otherwise, I'll see you next time.